Hi friends, and welcome. On today's program, we're going to have a look at what some of the Wilderness Journal family did for the firearms deer season opener from right here in the great state of Michigan. We're going to head afield with some of our young guns, Caitlin and Ian, Kyle Jr., a couple of the Dewey boys, Tommy and Mitchell, and collectively they're going to go out on opening day. And if you hunted in Michigan this year for the opener, you know it was raining and miserable. But I did tell them you can't get them from the couch, you got to go out there, and that's exactly what happened. Now after that, we're going to show you a follow-up to a deer hunting story that started all the way back in the youth season and didn't play out until into the black powder. But first, let's head out on Michigan's opening day and see how our young people did. Hey, I'm your host, Kyle Randall. This is my Wilderness Journal, and we're going out for the opener right now. Nobody at the Journal family deer camp was moving fast that first morning.
Deer camp looks a little too comfortable.
Truth was, you could hear the rain on the roof, and nobody seemed to be overly eager to hit the door. That is until...
Go.
Yes, the hunt boss had spoken. Well, the crew wasn't exactly jumping up and down listening to the rain hit the roof at 4:30 in the morning. But as you also saw in our deer camp at least, when Tina says go, we go. And out into the rain we went. Kyle Jr. sat in his blind, and at first all he'd seen was a squirrel. And then a couple of deer started working in from behind him. They could just peek out through the mesh window and see him coming. And then for some reason, they stopped just short of his shooting lane. And then they turned around and left. This group didn't seem to have a buck with it, but they were the only deer Kyle saw that morning. And after another couple hours of listening to the rain tapping on the roof of the blind, well, let's just say it was getting harder and harder to stay awake. Kyle did see a couple of deer first thing opening morning, but unfortunately they didn't have a buck with them. He did have an antlerless tag in his pocket, but he'd already decided he'd wait to see if a buck showed up, and at least he was seeing something. Up in Grandma's blind, his cousin Caitlin was sitting there watching it rain, and she hadn't seen anything, at least not yet. As darkness turned to light, Caitlin was at the ready. Caitlin had drawn the ace of diamonds. She's the one that picked Grandma's blind, partly, I think, because it was gonna rain, but partly because this has been a very productive stand in years past. But today, well, let's just say not so much. Kate just sat there, though, like the trooper that she is, waiting. And she sat there all day long. Caitlin, bless her heart, sat the entire day. She stuck it out, but unfortunately, all she saw was raindrops. And raindrops was all her brother was seeing in his pop-up blind out in the woods. Ian was in the dark, getting a little bit wet, more than a little bit cold. I know because I was with him.
Because of the rain, you're not going to hear the deer moving much, so you got to really pay attention, watch for movement. Hey, seen any yet? Heard a little shooting? Yeah, just a little bit.
It was definitely gloomy, but I was doing my best to keep Ian's spirits up and to take the opportunity to teach him a little bit more about deer hunting. Every situation has some information that the learning deer hunter needs. You just have to be willing to impart that information to your young people. They can't just know it. Somebody shared it with me, and I was doing my very best to pass it along. Besides, we really didn't have much else to do, not that first hour.
I think it's letting up.
Yeah, I think it's raining harder, actually.
Oh, no, it's cleared right out.
At least we're not getting flooded out.
We hadn't been flooded out yet. Yeah, that's what I think Ian meant to say. It was cold and miserable sitting in that pop-up blind. A little better than just sitting outside, but not by a whole bunch. I do believe after seeing the video, though, young Tommy Dewey had it a whole lot drier. He was in a stand up by Harrison, Michigan, and he was actually seeing a few deer. Just after first light, Tommy could see a doe working her way across in front of the stand, and he had the rifle up and was ready. You know, just in case she wasn't alone. Unfortunately, this time she was. And so too were the next couple of does that Tommy and now his brother Mitchell saw as they crossed the pole line and headed off to the west.
You see him? Couple little ones.
Yeah, I have actually.
So, alright. Maybe that unicorn will come back today.
I found out later the unicorn that Tom referred to was a one-antlered spike buck the boys had seen early, and it did come back. It followed a doe down through the brush. Tommy got up and got on it, but it was so thick he had no shot. He'd just have to wait for it to work out into the clear. And then, finally it did work out into the weeds. Tommy would have a chance at least, and then he decided to pass.
It's just a little small.
Even Tommy figured this one needed one more year.
Great, you're already eating. Go ahead, chew.
They didn't see any more deer, but the rest of the day wasn't a total
Mitchell.
waste.
How's the deer hunting going? You like reading during deer season?
At least that's what I heard from Tom Sr. A one-antlered spike and a couple of does. Not a lot to study on for young Tommy Dewey, but I will say I never had to take homework to my deer stand either. Though, and speaking of homework, it was already second hour back at Ian and I's pop-up blind, and oh yeah, for the record, it was still raining. And we were sitting there in the rain watching a squirrel because, well, that was the only thing moving. That is until I noticed there was a small buck pushing a doe along the far side of the swamp. I grabbed my bleat call,
Yeah, I see.
but they turned and just kept on going.
Lost it.
And then
Hey, over here comes a deer.
another deer had answered my call. I'd seen a better buck come right up behind a tree just outside our blind, and every once in a while he'd peek his head around a little bit. I mean, he'd just peek out and then pull his head back. Peek out, pull his head back. It was like we were playing a kid's game.
I bet there's deer. Get your rifle. Out this way. He's gonna come around this big
I
tree.
told Ian, get ready. Sooner or later, this buck is going to step out, and he looks like he's big enough.
He's looking up there. You wanna shoot him or not?
I can't tell how many points.
Can you see who's right behind him? I mean, 20 yards.
Yeah, I see.
And there we were, stuck in the mother of all stare downs. This buck would lean out and have a look and then lean back. Ian was ready. I was ready, but the buck, let's just say he was non-committal. And then finally, when he did step out, he stepped toward us under the hill. Ian didn't have a shot, and I thought, it's over.
Going this side.
But then the buck turned and he ran across in front of us, started coming up the saddle.
There he is. He's gonna go around. He's gonna. Deer. Yeah, it's a doe.
Friends, it wasn't over, not by a long shot.
Let's see him. You got him. Yeah, that's. He's gonna follow those does. Just try to find the spot. How's that? Okay, go ahead. Wait, he's gonna come around. He's gonna follow those does.
He stopped a couple of more times, but never where Ian could get a clear shot at him. He was trying to work around to follow the does that had already passed us.
He's standing. He's just standing there. You just get on that doe. He's gonna go to that spot.
And I knew once he caught up to them,
See him?
and then it would be game over.
Buck. Yeah. Go ahead and take your safety off. wait. Take your seat down. Just trying to find you a shooting lane down through there.
Too many trees. Right now he's behind the tree.
See where they're walking out. Get on that spot.
I see doe.
I see a buck right there.
I see him.
You got the buck. He's right over there.
I see another doe.
Okay.
That's it.
You're gonna have to be ready when he walks down there. You're gonna have to be with it. You can't take forever. Have you got a shot? Okay, he's gonna come around. He's gonna come around. Go. You got a shot or no? There he is.
I lost him. Don't see him. Oh, I see his face. I got it. Clear shot.
Go ahead. Nailed it. Good shot, buddy. Good shot. Dropped him right there. Watch it. Nice job, man. You dropped him. Get it on safe. Way to get it together, man.
Right.
What do you think? Awesome.
Yeah.
Hasn't got a lot of points. Good mass. Nice young buck. That's a good eater. We said we were going to look for something a little older. There it is right there.
Right.
Opening morning. 5 minutes to 8.
Right.
He was right here.
I know,
15 yards, couldn't get on him.
I couldn't get on him.
And you feathered a heck of a shot down through there. That's awesome, man. Threw an anvil on his head from space. What do you think, man? That's awesome. What do you got to say?
It was fun.
Yeah, happy
Yeah.
opening day.
Right.
You talk about getting, this was kind of a last minute deal.
Yeah, thanks to Mike and Chris for having
No doubt the Laramers
spot.
invited us out here. Kind of a last minute deal.
Right.
And you got a first minute buck. It ain't 8 o'clock.
Right.
And that's a dandy buck. Did you see the smaller buck? Oh, that sounded like maybe Mike just got one.
Yeah, I did.
Right behind us. That's where he is, over the hill the other way.
Right. No, I didn't see that smaller one.
Yeah, there was a doe and a yearling and this buck, and they were right here. I mean, right there. Not 20 yards. They saw the pop up and didn't like it, but they did come around. And then you made a heck of a shot down through them trees, man.
Yeah.
It's like shooting through the dog hair there, and it dropped. What do you think? Old Whisper still got it, huh?
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't suggest you try to pry it away from Grammy anytime soon.
No, it's probably not a good idea.
It used to be my rifle.
Really? It used to be?
It used to be. I don't ever. But you know what's really cool? You got a buck. You and I hunting together. First thing opening day. I'm so proud of you, man. Way to keep it together and wait for the right time. And a great shot.
Thank you.
You want to go see a deer?
Yeah, let's do it. I got it.
Well, in the rain,
In the rain.
got her done opening day 2017.
Yep, it was really great to have Mike and Chris let us you hunt on their property.
Isn't this a
here.
beautiful place?
Yeah, it is. Very grateful for that. It's a nice deer.
It is a nice deer, and you made a great shot down through the trees. I tell you, I didn't think he was ever going to stop somewhere we could both see him.
Yeah, exactly.
But fortunately, you saw that decoy and he kind of stopped, looked a little bit, and you picked your spot and you made it work. Nice shot, by the way, buddy.
Thank you.
Congratulations. This is awesome. I certainly hope your sister and your cousin are doing as well, but you, Ian Lilly, got her done. Nice little 6-point buck. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
All right. What do you think?
It's a nice deer.
I think I'm ready to go home and get a little lunch. What about you? Maybe get out of the rain, get dry?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna carry the camera so it don't get wet. You go ahead and gut that deer and drag it up to the truck, all right?
All right.
All right, buddy, congrats. Congratulations, Ian, on a great shot and a nice buck. Folks, I've seen full-grown men fold under the pressure of a deer that won't stand still like that, but Ian stuck with it. He picked the spot and he made it work. I will tell you, his was in fact the only buck that made it to our camp on the opener. And unfortunately, it wasn't until the black powder season before I could get back out into the field again with some of the youngsters. Kyle Jr. and I headed out to a deer stand in hopes of at least filling his doe tag before it was all over. Kyle and I were out in Grandma's blind and we were keeping a pretty sharp eye, but so far at least, all we'd seen was a couple of birds and a
Rabbit.
Yeah, a rabbit. And then, just as it started to get dark, we could see some movement through the pine trees.
There's come some deer right there. See them?
Yes.
Coming through the swamp right at the edge.
There were deer coming. And not just one or two, there were 4 or 5 deer coming.
See them?
Yep.
How many? That's what usually comes first, is a young. How many?
4, maybe 5.
That looks
Maybe 5.
5. All right. Yeah, okay. Okay, get. Okay. Try to find them in your scope. Get your gun. Get your gun. Easy, easy. Just get them in the scope.
4 or 5 deer were working their way out of the pines and down past the old apple tree along the edge of the swamp hole. We hadn't seen any bucks yet, but Kyle had already told me if he got a chance to take a good doe, he was going to go ahead and try to fill his antlerless tag.
Them two behind the tree, those are a couple of good does.
Either way, it was beginning to look like he was going to get a chance. We watched as even more deer started to work down out of the pines.
Okay, the one moving to the right, see her? Get on her. Move over. Are you going to stand up first? Whoa, there's a deer in front of her. That noise just made all those deer look. Move over and get on her. Don't. Careful now. Right, just relax right now. She's blocked. Right there comes another deer in the back. That's a crooked deer. You want her. She's in the back.
There was at least 2 or 3 adult does down there, and one of them,
There goes this other doe.
and one of them at least was our old friend Crooked Ear. Now, for those of you who aren't frequent flyers, Crooked Ear is a doe that's been around here for 12 or 15 years, and every time Kyle has tried to put his tag on her, well, let's just say it's never quite worked out. Now he was going to have to decide, was this the time? Was this his chance? Or did he want one of these other deer? Or maybe was he going to wait for a buck? Either way, things was starting to get intense in that blind.
See crooked deer, and she's going to leave. Uh-oh. Do you want to wait for crooked deer? What do you want to do?
Kyle took one more look at Crooked Ear and then pointed his rifle at the big old doe standing out to the right.
Okay, make sure you're on her shoulder, nice and steady. Or wait, there's one walking in front of her. Turn it.
The decision had been made.
Deer in front of her. See that?
What about the deer in front of her?
It can be. Squeeze it if you're gonna shoot her. Watch her.
Yes!
Nailed it. Watch her. Watch her. She piled up trying to get up the hill, didn't she? Yep. There she just fell down. Buddy, you smoked her. Here, good. Nice shot.
Yes!
Nice job, man. Nice big doe. That's the way to fill your doe tag. Wait it all the way to the black powder season. Put your gun on safe. I know it's a single shot. There, go ahead, put it on. She's not going nowhere. There you go. All that time, man. Nice job. Outstanding. What do you think?
It's a nice doe.
Yeah, good shot too. About 80 yards.
Yep.
Yeah.
Happy I got one.
You got one right there. I know you got one. I seen her go down. Nice job, man. I'm proud of you. It's getting dark. We're losing light. You lose a little bit of light with the camera, but
Yeah.
You want to go over there?
Yes,
Want to go
please.
see her? All right, man. Got your license? Yeah.
You have it.
You're right. I do. It's right here in my pocket. All right, let's go. Nice job. I saw her go down, man. See her?
Yeah.
All right, go get her. She ain't going nowhere. She ain't just taking a nap, like I say.
Paul, I'm guarding my place.
Oh yeah, gotta get her tagged. Hold her head up. That's a nice deer, man. Nice, nice deer. What do you think?
It's nice though.
It is too. Here, can you catch? Here's my pocket knife. Don't lose it. All right, get a tag on her. We'll get her gutted and then we'll make somebody else do all the heavy lifting. Hey, congratulations, man.
Thank you.
That's awesome. You know, it's been quite a season. Started out in the youth season, and you pass that big buck out there for Mr. Charlie. I don't know if he ever got it or not.
No, we should leave that one for Mr. Charlie. We should let Mr. Charlie have him.
For a minute, I was dumbstruck. I couldn't believe what I just saw.
Yeah, we heard about that show, didn't we?
Yeah.
Kind of nice to wrap up the season, though, still putting some meat in the freezer, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Congratulations, Kyle Jr., on a great deer and a great shot with that black powder gun as well. My friends, every time I get to go to the field with my young people, I cherish it. It's happening less and less, and I wish for it more and more. There's an old saying that goes, time waits for no man, and I'm here to tell you that's the truth of it. I truly hope to get out every opportunity and share the rest of the season with the rest of our young people. They're so special. They are our future, but they are also our legacy. What you give them is what they will give to the next generation. And I truly hope that some of you are out there making the kind of memories that we had this year. I never lifted a rifle, and I'll remember this season for the rest of my days. Hey, I hope we see some of you and yours out there doing it. I hope we bump into some of you, and if we do, well, you know we're going to stop and share that cup and a fire and hopefully some great deer stories. And friends, if we don't see you out there, well, then I'll be waiting for you right back here so we can share another adventure from my Wilderness Journal.